There is one man that you can learn more from about how to make millions of dollars, be a better man for your family, and ultimately win at life. There's one man on the planet you can learn from, probably more than anyone, and his name is
Andrew Tate has been detained in Romania.
Controversial,
detained on human trafficking and rape charges.
Social media star, the most Googled man on the planet, and currently
Andrew Tate has been arrested in Romania.
Sitting in a Romanian jail cell for human trafficking, alleged human trafficking.
His comments got him banned from all major social media platforms.
He is an anomaly. Whether you love him or hate him, in today's podcast episode, we're going to be breaking down 4 dangerous lessons every father, but also every man, must learn from Andrew Tate. Whether you want to make more money, have better relationships, or have a better quality of life, you're going to want to listen to today's podcast episode as we break down how these lessons can help you instantly level up as a modern day man. So strap in. There's a lot to learn here, and make sure you take note of this controversial man called Andrew Tate. So this is going to be a controversial topic today, Sam, because we're going to be talking about the world's most Googled man, Andrew Tate, and how 4 very dangerous lessons he teaches can be applied to you, the listener, to you, Sam, and to myself, the people at home, the men who want to be better, to weaponize and optimize their relationship with their wife or their kids, but also their business so they can make more money working less hours, and their body so they can feel energized and on fire, and their mind so they can be unstoppable in the realm of any human endeavor. Sounds like a pretty bold claim, does it not? But let's break it down. I mean, you don't actually know who Andrew Tate is, do you, Sam?
I know his name, and I've seen some things about him in the media recently, but that's the extent.
Cool. So we mentioned him in the last podcast. He's currently in jail in Romania. And if you're one of the listeners who don't know who Andrew is, you've been living under a rock, because this is the most alpha masculine man on the planet. He's the most Googled man on the planet. And I'll give you a quick overview, Sam, since you don't know who he is. He's made hundreds of millions of dollars. He's got casinos. He's got online courses. He was a 4-time world championship kickboxer. And he's got a whole bunch of fast cars. He's like the James Bond of real life, and people fucking hate him, but also people love him. And the people that love him are the 15 to 25-year-old males of the world who currently do not have any male role models or mentors. So we're going to dive in. We're going to share some clips on this podcast of things he said that are highly controversial. Things such as women shouldn't be allowed to drive. Things such as a man has authority over women, and that she's not his property, but he has some level of authority to tell her what she does. Things that when you hear, Sam, like, what do you think about when you hear that sort of stuff? Be honest. Like, you don't know the guy. Let's just say you hear that in a soundbite. What goes through your head right away?
Oh, immediately I'm like, that's the initial response.
What? No, be honest. What's the Is it like dickhead, wanker? That's not cool. Like, what is it? Be honest. There's people listening.
I'm just like, that's not cool.
Yep.
Not cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. I agree. I completely agree. I don't think that there should be any differentiation in terms of those things. However, let me give you some context. Let's say he says, when you are on a plane, right, and there's a woman pilot and a male pilot, and that plane is about to go down, what he says is that he would prefer to have a male pilot because under pressure, when bullets are getting fired or when there's a chaos or things going to hell, that men are typically more strong-minded.
If you're about to get on a plane and that plane's going to fly through a hurricane and there's a 50-50 chance of it crashing and dying, do you want a male pilot or a female pilot?
Just a fucking good pilot I want.
That is such a politically correct answer, and it's a lie.
Is that?
We all know you'd want a man to fly that plane. You would not want some woman to walk up the stairs. Hi, guys. We're about to go into the hurricane. You'd be like, what? Whoa. Give me an old white-haired man. Everyone knows it. And I respect your very neutral view on the world. But I'll tell you in my life experience, because this is how we view the world, right? We're all biased. We're all biased based on our experiences, right? I have seen so many women fail to park and crash cars and do dumb shit. I do not want a female pilot flying me through a hurricane. I've seen enough female driving of all vehicles to know that that shit is a bad idea. And I want a male pilot. I believe women are better at some things and men are better at some things. I do not believe we're equal and all the same and we can be interchanged. I believe that certain roles suit females and certain roles suit males. Let me ask you another question then, because you're Mr. Non-Sexist. Let me ask you another question. Would you drop your child off in a daycare where it was run only by men?
Women only.
Yeah, there you go then. So you do have a gender bias.
Yeah.
So gender bias exists, right?
Yeah,
and it's obviously a generalization, but my point is, in certain roles in society, we trust females, like with our kids, and in other roles, like danger, we trust men.
Now, would you typically, generalization-wise, agree with that statement?
Yeah, partially. Yeah.
Partially. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So you can see how now, if it's taken out of context, though, it can be put into a soundbite and clipped up, right? Second thing he says, the authority piece, which we'll clip up in this podcast.
So if I were to take $1 million in cash and walk down the street at night in the worst part of town holding it, to a degree, I would have some responsibility. When I got robbed, the police would come and say, why did you do that? People would say, Andrew, why did you do that? You have to protect yourself from things. You can't just rely on the ideological hope that other people in the world are going to be perfect and infallible, or that the law is going to prevent it. You have to say, no, I can't walk through the ghetto at 2 a.m. with $1 million in cash. I take personal responsibility. She agreed. I said, then by extension, would you agree that the smartest thing a woman can do to prevent rape is not to sit here on a podcast and try and change the way men think and talk about your bullshit, but to take some degree of personal responsibility and not put yourself in dangerous situations? I'm not saying that's going to prevent all rape. I'm not saying that rape is okay. Rapists should be executed. I'm not saying that every single woman who was ever assaulted could have prevented it. I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying the smartest thing a woman can do is say, this is dangerous. Going home with this guy I just met is dangerous. Walking through this area by myself is dangerous. Let me call a taxi. Let me call my brother. Let me go with my husband. Isn't that a more intelligent way to teach women to prevent themselves from being raped, as opposed to telling them you can do whatever you want, walk around in the middle of the night naked, it's no problem. Men shouldn't rape, men are the problem. I said, what you're trying to do is illogical. What I'm trying to say will actually prevent rape. So what you're saying, when you're telling girls do whatever you want, men are the problem, you're convincing women to put themselves in situations where bad things might happen to them. Whereas I'm saying, listen, women and men, look after yourselves. I'm a full-grown man, 4-time kickboxing world champion. There's places I don't go alone. Like I came here with security. That's called being an intelligent adult. So this is what I was trying to say. I was trying to say women need to protect themselves and bear some responsibility to make sure they don't put themselves in situations where bad things can happen to them easily.
So what Andrew's saying here, when he says he has authority over women, is what he's saying if his partner decides to go out in the middle of the night, dressed in a miniskirt, walking through a dark, secluded park in a dangerous city at 2 a.m., that he has the authority to say to her, don't go and do that. Now, he's not going to force her to stay in the house, but if he is responsible for her safety as the partner, he has a level of authority over her to make that suggestion and to expect her, she might not, but to expect her to listen so she doesn't go and get raped. Can you see how that might be? Like, what do you think of when you hear it in that context?
Yeah, no, of course. It's
exactly. Yeah. But can you see the fuck up here? So the world hates him because there's these sound bites. And the entire purpose of this podcast, guys, as you listen to these clips and snippets of Andrew Tate, is not to hate or love. Because the problem is, in your business, in your relationship with your wife, in your career, whatever you decide to do as a man, if you look at things black and white, if you look at things with a closed mind, and if you form opinions based on a few seconds, you are fucked. You truly are, because you do not have an open mind, and therefore you cannot observe everything, and therefore you cannot really win as a man because you're closed off to the endless possibilities. And that is the first lesson, the first dangerous lesson every father, every man must learn from Andrew Tate. Whether you love him or hate him, whether you have an opinion or not, whether you've never heard of him or not, the first lesson that he teaches is to observe everything and to open up your mind. Sam, what does that mean in terms of business, in terms of relationships, in terms of being a successful modern day man? Observe everything, open up your mind. What does that mean?
Observing everything, opening our mind, for me, when I think about that, I think about how I used to live. And and a lot of the men that we work with initially, they come into our program with this fixed mindset. There's no openness to, well, what could that mean? And how could I grow through that? It's a fixed mindset of, this is who I am. This is how the world is. And that's it. When we start to adopt a growth mindset, we start to think of possibilities. Well, maybe as I observe this, maybe there's lessons here. Maybe there's things for me to dive into here. Maybe there's another dimension of this. Kind of like what you've just sort of said with Andrew Tate. It's like you can have a perspective of him, but if you get some context, like anything, it starts to unpack it a bit further. One of the best things that I have implemented in my life to observe everything is my daily journaling and reflection. Because I take what is in here, which can sometimes be very one-dimensional, and I put it out on paper or on my computer screen, and I start to then look at it objectively, and I observe what's going on here. I observe some of the dots, some of the connectors, and start to put some things together to gain greater awareness, greater understanding. And what that requires of me is an open mind.
Yeah. To be a successful man, you need that.
Yeah.
To be a successful man in 2023, you need to have an open mind. What does that mean? Observing two different worlds, the inner world and the outer world. The inner world is what's going on with your thoughts, your feelings. Most men stay stuck in negative thoughts and negative feelings, anxiety, depression, stress, pressure, anger, overwhelm, guilt, shame, especially a lot of successful men who make a lot of money. They don't feel good enough. Spoke to a guy yesterday who makes 30 million a year. His whole thing is, I don't feel like I'm ever doing enough. I feel like I'm always fucking things up. He's one of the most successful guys I know. It's that inner world that as a man, you've got to observe. You've got to know what's going on within you. And you've got to be open-minded to the fact that if you are feeling anything negative, it's going to massively impact your business, your relationships, your health. And the only way to change that is to make it conscious. We don't consciously or intentionally fuck up our lives. It's subconscious, it's down below. So you've got to bring it to the surface and observe it. Now, the other side is the outer world. And this podcast isn't even about Andrew Tate, but these are the principles he teaches. Everything I'm saying right now, we've been teaching at the Empowered Man for years. The reason we're bringing Andrew into this is because, one, he's in jail right now for charges that I personally don't think are true. Huge controversy. But two, this message is life-changing if you choose to open your mind up to it. Like what I just said will save a marriage. What I just said will help you eliminate 25 years of trauma if you have it. And what I just said will help you make millions of dollars. It's that inner world. But then if we take it a step further, like let's observe the external world. Mate, how many fucking families and friends split apart because of their opinions and thoughts around the COVID vaccine? It is disgusting. It is despicable. It is crazy. You can see right now the death rate around the world. And this is all relevant to your business and relationships, by the way. The death rate around the world is up like between 10 to 15% higher than what it was 2 or 3 years ago. And 2% of that is COVID deaths. Now, from a logic standpoint, there was only one thing that changed in the last 2 or 3 years. So like open-minded wise, could you see how there might be a connection between that and what people did with that jabby? Like, you don't even have to believe it. You don't have to believe that's the case, but can you see how there might be a connection? But how many people are closed-minded to that connection? It can't be that. It's not possible. You're an anti-this, anti-that. It's this closed-mindedness, which is why people follow like sheep, man. This is why families split apart, because one person's so fucking closed-minded to somebody else's bodily choice that it breaks up relationships. And the exact same thing happens in our marriages. We're closed-minded with our relationships to our partner's points of view, their opinions, their thoughts. Earlier today, my wife was overwhelmed. Her role in the relationship, not her job, her role that she has taken on is to cook, clean, look after the house, a traditional relationship. She's allowed to do whatever the fuck she wants. If she wants to start a business, she does it. My role is to make money, grow the business, grow the empowered man, take us to 10 million a year, sell the business, help more men, right? It's my role. This morning, she's overwhelmed. She can't fulfill that role. She can, but she's tired. She's stressed. She's about to cry. So I go, you know what? I'm going to observe her behavior. I'm not going to judge her. I'm going to open my mind up to the fact that I might have to move my schedule around, even though I run a business. And now I'm going to take my daughter for an hour, go for a walk so my wife can work out. And then later today, I observe she's still stressed. I've moved my day around, even though I'm a stressed business owner. And I'm going to take my daughter for an hour and a half, and Rosie's going to get a massage. That is the level of open-mindedness we need as men. It's the same in our business. Like so many men we talk to say, I can't find good stuff. Open your mind, observe everything. Where can I find good stuff? If there's any part of your life that's negative internally, You got to ask yourself, okay, cool. How can I observe this and look at it from a different angle and open my mind up to new possibilities? If your relationship isn't working, and you're like, I've tried everything. We hear that all the time, right? I've tried everything. So have you tried the Empowered Man program? Well, no. And we use this global language. Now, before I let you jump in, because I'm ranting here, the second piece is the external world, right? Like, look at COVID, lockdowns, vaccine mandates. The government, look at what they're doing with modern day boys. They're telling them now, boys who are not allowed to have sex, buy cigarettes or alcohol, if you want to be a woman, man. You can get, they can get gender reassignment surgery. This is the world we're living in. And most of us just don't observe this stuff. And if you've got relationship issues or health issues, you got to understand, or business issues, this goes from the top down. It goes from society all the way into the family unit. And most of us don't think about these things. What a powerful lesson to observe everything and to open your mind from Andrew Tate. A dangerous lesson, because when men do that, right? When men are free thinkers, that's when they have the body, the relationships, the wealth they want, which is exactly what Andrew Tate has, which is exactly what everyone hates. Where have you observed this closed-mindedness? I mean, I know you and I both didn't get the jabby, right? We didn't get the jabby because if we say the word, we'll get blocked and banned. Oh, God forbid, people listen to this and go, you're a horrible person. It's just a fucking choice. How did you observe this with us, and how did it affect your relationships and your health and your business, even the career you were in?
I guess there was a lot of fear around that, wasn't there? There was a bunch of stigma, and if you don't, I was talking to someone only 2 days ago, so it's interesting you bring it up now. 2 days ago, family, mum and dad, 5 kids, and they all lost their jobs as a result of saying, no, I'm not going to get the vaccine. That's my personal choice. They all lost their jobs, all 7 of them. And there was a lot of fear around that. There was a lot of fear instilled, even in myself, in the career that I was in back then. There was like, well, there's the potential that you may have to have this or your job's on the line. It was very closed-minded. This is the way it is. One of the things that I find with a lot of men that we work with, I'm having conversations like these all the time, where they'll come to us with a story. This is what's happened. This is what's going on. This is how my wife's responding, and this is why. When, as a coach, you ask a question like, well, what else could that mean? Like, is it a result that she's just, that she's just stuck up, or she's cheating on you, or whatever? Or could it mean something else? Could it mean that the last 3 years of breakdown in the relationship have got her to this point? Or could it mean that she's tired and stressed? Or could it mean this? Or could it mean that? Yep. And then suddenly one concept of a closed-minded person, you start to open that, and there's actually 5, 6, 10, 15 possibilities of what else it could mean.
Yep.
It's that open mind. It's very, very powerful.
Yeah. Hey, legend, if you're getting value from this podcast, then you're going to love our Empowered Man 7-Day Challenge. Inside, we've taken some of the best content our clients invest thousands of dollars for to change their lives, and we've given it to you in the course of 7 days. This challenge is worth over $3,000, and you can get it for $37, 97% off. Inside, we'll teach you how to fix your marriage and relationships and reconnect with your partner, your kids, your wife. We will teach you how to take back your time, how to take back your power, get into powerful routines, and how to take control of your life, take control of your mind, take control of your business, take control of your health, take control of your wealth. Sounds too good to be true, but there's a complete money back guarantee. So if you're enjoying this podcast, go to elitebusinessman.com/challenge. That's elitebusinessman.com/challenge. It's going to be in the call notes as well, and you'll be able to register for this challenge that will completely change your life. One of the biggest things that destroys men's lives is closed-mindedness. Yeah. Because when you're closed-minded to one opinion or one point of view in your relationship, your business, your health, I can't lose weight, my wife won't change, I've tried everything, I can't find staff, I can't grow my business, I can't make money. When you have those negative frames of view, and you put yourself in that box, it's like you get tunnel vision. And the only belief that exists is that closed-minded belief. Whereas if you just open up and observe everything around you, if you think about a box, the only thing that exists in that box is what's in the volume of that box. But if you jump out of the box, the entire world exists out of that. And if you look at any negative situation internally, thoughts, feelings, actions, reactions, externally, the world, circumstances, people in your life, all of those things have infinite possibilities of what they could mean. And the cool thing is you choose the meaning. So if there's anything in your life that's negative, simply observe it and go, oh my God, I'm observing this is negative. How can I look at it from different angles? How many different angles can I look at it from? Which angle can I look at it from that empowers me? And if you ask those questions, you win as a man. You win in your health, wealth, and relationships. So the first dangerous lesson from Andrew Tate that I'm grateful to have learned, despite what he may or may not have done, there's open-mindedness. There's a lot to learn from people. I can learn things from Hitler. I learned from my father and what not to do as a man, right? Even though he didn't give me what I needed, there's always something we can learn. What a powerful lesson. Lesson number 2 from Andrew Tate, from Toni, from Sam, from the Empowered Man is life isn't fair. Like, life isn't fair. It's fucking unfair that those 7 people lost their jobs. It's fucking unfair that you and I, and most of the people listening to this podcast, know of someone who's taken the jab and then had heart complications, stroke, or a heart attack. You know people. I know people. It's unfair. It's unfair that as a man in this day and age, even if you run a business and make all the money and provide, you've also got to come home and look after the kids, help with dinner, bathe them. After working 9 hours, having 7 meetings, breaking your back all day, you come home, the house is a mess, your wife's overwhelmed. It's unfair. However, the biggest lesson here is that instead of focusing on the fact that it's unfair, you get to completely remove that focus as a man and accept that it's unfair. When you accept something, it no longer matters. This sucks. Cool. I'm going to have to eat shit in my business this year and grind for the next 3 months. Awesome. Cool. I'm feeling tired. Okay, cool. I guess I'm going to get through my day tired. See, it sounds so simple, doesn't it? Negative thing, and you just go, okay, I accept that.
Yeah.
When you make that your marker and you realize that life isn't fair, it becomes such an easy game. This is the same with happiness. A lot of men say they want to be happy. That's bullshit, right? Happiness is fleeting. It's these ups and downs. Sometimes you're happy in your relationship. Sometimes you're sad. Sometimes you're happy in your own mind. Sometimes you're sad. Sometimes you're happy in your business. Sometimes you're sad. It's this fleeting emotion. If you just remove the expectation of happiness and you go, I don't need to be happy. If I'm not happy, fine. If I'm happy, fine. I'm not going to chase it. Guess what ends up happening? You start being a lot happier because you're not holding on to this expectation of having the thing. So one of the best tools you can do as a man is to remove expectations. One of the biggest expectations in life is that we expect it to be fair. Genders are not fair. Jobs are not fair. The government's not fair. Mandates are not fair. Life is not fucking fair. Yet how many of us focus on how unfair it is and waste days, weeks, months, and years complaining, bitching, and moaning about things that are out of our control and that we can simply let go of? Why do men do this? We see it all the time, Sam. We coach millionaires. We coach huge business owners. We coach career-driven men. We coach men who are successful. You might be one of them listening right now. And I guarantee in your mind you go, what's the fucking point? You come home, house is a mess. This is unfair. I work so fucking hard. She doesn't understand. We've all done it. Why? Why do men do this?
There's an element in us, I believe, and it's called entitlement, where we feel that life should be fair.
Yeah.
I don't believe that life was ever meant to be fair. If it was meant to be fair, we would be wrapped in cotton wool, go through life wrapped in cotton wool. Can't experience any pain, which means we have no backbone. We've got no story. We've got no grit and determination, because often that's found in the unfair. I remember when my marriage broke down and the circumstances around that, and I was like, this isn't fair. This isn't fair.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, okay, maybe it's not, but what am I going to do with it?
Yes.
A lot of men, I get home and the house is a mess, or I've got to bath the kids, and I've worked all day and it's not fair. It's like, for me, my perspective shift around things like that has been, well, it may not be fair, but what is my privilege here? Not what is my role, not what is my job, but what is my privilege? My privilege is to bath my son. My privilege is to sit with him at the dinner table and invest time and attention and energy. Yes, I'm tired. Yes, I'm burnt out, or there's a lot on my mind, but my privilege is laying with him in bed and reading him stories and having that one-on-one time that he will remember for the rest of his life. That's my privilege. And if it's just about life's not fair, then I do all of those things out of duty, out of this sour attitude, And then I soak up none of the good stuff that's found in those moments where it pushes us. It's pressure. One of my friends said to me the other day, pressure is a privilege. Pressure is a privilege, and pressure creates diamonds.
Powerful, man. I've never heard that frame from you. It's a very powerful frame. I'm assuming you use that with our clients. It is a privilege. It really is as a privilege. Like, as men, as fathers, we get to do the things we do. We get to run a business. We get to lead our family. We get to be a role model. We get to work hard and then come home and help around the house. We don't need to do any of that. We must debate all over ourselves. We should all over ourselves. And these needs, shoulds, have to, they create all this internal pressure. But that pressure is a privilege. And if you realize that life is just not fair as a man, and you just own that shit, you're like, cool, I accept it's not fair. And I get to do all this hard shit. I get to work hard and support my family. That's the day and age we live in. And the sooner you accept that as a man, you realize everything's a privilege. You get to go through life and it's fucking hard. And that's awesome. Because that pressure, that hard creates that diamond within you. That's how you become successful in your business, your relationships, your health. You get to believe that. Life isn't fucking fair. Acceptance. What a powerful lesson. What if every time something was hard, you're like, cool, let's go fucking crush it. Every morning I wake up, man. Every morning. Do you know what I wake up thinking? No matter how tired I am, last night the fucking dog's yapping at 3 a.m. I got up at 3 a.m. last night. If you've ever had a neighbor that does this, like I was thinking at 3 a.m. of finding a gun. I don't like guns. And shooting the fucking dog. I like pets, right? But it yaps every single night. But this morning at 4:45, an hour and 45 minutes later, I get up out of bed and the first thing that goes through my head is, I am limitless. I'm going to achieve and exceed all of my goals. Goals mean get out and live. And I've had to train myself to believe that. Now, is it fair that I have to get up at 4:45? I don't have to do shit. I can stay in bed. Is it fair that I have to run my business? I get to run my business. Is it fair that we have stress and meetings and people that don't show up, people that pull out? No, none of it's fair. Is it fair that my wife is tired and I need to support her? I get to support her. Can you see how this mindset shift changes your life forever? So many men are stuck in this victim. Yeah, I'm successful. I make money. No, you're not. You're fucking a prisoner of your own mind, man. Because you think you need to and you have to, and life isn't fair and she's not fair and the kids and this. It's like, bro, take some fucking responsibility. Which is the third dangerous lesson. Every man, every father must learn from my brother, Andrew Tate. Take massive fucking responsibility. We're going to talk about this next week on the podcast. So make sure you tune in for that one. We have these 5 or 6 tenets of the Empowered Man Code. I'm going to share it with you, the PDF you can download. The way Andrew frames this one, man, is pretty intense. He says everything is your fault. And I disagree. Right? It's all your fault. If you walk outside and get hit by a car, it's your fault. If you walk outside and it's raining, it's your fault that you got caught in the rain. You could have brought an umbrella. You could have been in a country where it doesn't rain. It's a very intense attitude, and I disagree, but there's a powerful lesson to take away from it. Sam, did you intentionally fuck up your marriage?
No, not intentionally.
Cool. And I mean that in no disrespect. That's my language. Like, your marriage ended, I just say fuck up. I know that you didn't do anything on purpose, right? Who sits there when they're getting married? And if you've got marriage issues or relationship issues, you're listening to this, listen up. This is important. Okay? If your marriage is breaking down, it is not your fault. However, it is your responsibility to fix it. Let me explain, right? No one stands on the altar getting married saying, I do, thinking, man, I can't wait to fucking get divorced in 10 years. But 50% of marriages end in divorce. When I say it's not your fault, what I mean is you didn't intentionally fuck this up. You didn't have the tools. You weren't taught how. You didn't have the right mentors or father. You got stressed at work. You got busy. It wasn't intentional. It was out of your awareness. But despite it being your fault or not, it's no one else's fault. It's not your fault, but it's only one person's responsibility to fix it, and that is you. And the beautiful thing about that is if it's your responsibility, you have the power to do that. In your life, no one is coming to save you. Like, you got to know this as a man. This one thing that will change your life forever. No one is coming to save you. If you want to grow your business and it's stressful and you can't find staff, no one's coming to save you. If your relationship's falling apart, you're arguing, you're disconnected, no one's coming to save you. If your children are acting up and you can't connect with them, no one's coming to save you. If you're overweight and fat and unhealthy, no one's coming to save you. As a man, unfortunately, you don't have any value. You create that value. If you're a beautiful woman, you have some value, right? Like you instantly have value. For men, you got to build that. You got to work hard. You got to grind, and no one's coming to save you. None of the stuff that's not working in your life is your fault, unless you intentionally fucked it up. But it is your responsibility to fix it. And the beautiful thing about responsibility is you can make a decision. It takes a split second to go, you know what? I'm taking ownership for everything in my life. This relationship where I blame her, I'm going to take ownership. This business that I want to grow, I'm going to take ownership. I'm not going to blame my staff or the government or the team. Everything in my life is my responsibility. And if everything in your life is your responsibility, that means you have the power to change it and save yourself. And that, my friends, is a superpower. But so many men struggle to take responsibility because it means they can't blame anyone or anything else. The blame game destroys us. We talked about this last week in the podcast in regards to making 2023 your best year ever. But how does the blame game destroy relationships, businesses, families? And why is it so rampant in society, Sam? What's going on with this fucking blame game, brother?
The blame game is taking a circumstance and a situation and looking completely at someone else. As you said, like before, like it's giving your power away. It's kind of like trying to find something to hang on to, trying to find a handle, and there's just nothing there. You've got no power, you've got no authority, you've got no ownership in the situation. And, I'll always say, like I said to myself 13, 14 months ago when my marriage broke down, how can I take at least 1% responsibility here? Just 1%. And as I did that, I'm like, oh, maybe there's a bit more responsibility, maybe a bit more responsibility and a bit more responsibility. And right there, when I take that gives me power, gives me something to hang on to that I can start to navigate forward, to change, to implement. If I get caught up in the blame game, it eats away at my mind. I live in what we talked about before, that entitlement of life's not fair. And I fast forward 20, 30 years and I'm sitting in my recliner alone, no one's around, bitter, angry, frustrated, broke, like all of those things. You can see the picture because I'm not willing to take responsibility. For me, not interested in that outcome at all.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, is like anyone who ends up lonely, unhealthy, unhappy, most of that is caused by you. And it's so hard as a man to take that responsibility, man. There's a lot of guys listening to this. We had an awesome message from a guy listening to the podcast. I'm going to read it out to you. I think I sent it to you, Sam, in one of our threads. And he's one of the listeners. I'm not going to share his name, obviously. Let's see if we can find it somewhere here, Sam. It basically said something along the lines of like, you're changing lives with this podcast. And if it wasn't for you, my marriage would not be together. And I want to just shout that guy out for a second. I'm going to try and find the message. Here we go. This is the email we got. You're probably responsible for me not getting divorced last year and actually now in a rather comfortable spot if it wasn't for fear of a recurrence of the past, right? So he's obviously aware, whoever you are listening, thank you so much, that this could happen again. Like you could lose responsibility. You could fuck up your relationship. You could fuck up your wealth, your health, but you choose not to. Keep up the good work, mate. There will be so many guys like me that never show our heads, but you have kept us alive and changed our lives. Your drive is inspirational, and anyone being coached and kept accountable by you is very lucky indeed. Thank you, brother. Right? We got that email from a listener, Sam and I, telling us what we're doing. This is a man who's realized that he was stuck in that victim mentality that we've all been at. I was there as well, guys. When my marriage ended, I went on a 3-month bender. I took all the cocaine, MDMA, alcohol, cigarettes, drugs that you could possibly take, spent 30 grand, emptied my bank account, lost everything. I was a massive victim. So I'm not sitting here judging you. What I'm saying is we have men like this who listen to this podcast and hear what I'm saying right now and go, you know what? I'm going to open my mind and observe everything. These guys are right. Like if my relationship sucks, I get to fix it. If my marriage sucks, I get to fix it. If my business sucks, I get to fix it. I get to take that responsibility. And I'm not going to blame anyone else. And there's the other guys who hear what I just said and go, he's judging me. He blames me. I'm not. What I'm saying is no one's coming to save you. I have no judgment towards any of you guys. I love and appreciate all of you who listen to this podcast, but for the love of God, for the love of your children, become a man who does these things, opens up your mind, takes responsibility, observes everything, and understands life isn't fair, accepts that, and does something about it. Which leads us to the fourth and final dangerous lesson every father must learn from Andrew Tate, and that is to become the best version of yourself. We have been teaching this at The Empowered Man since I was 23 years old, doing live videos on Facebook, helping men lose weight. We helped thousands of men in our first program. Sam was one of my first clients. He now works with us as the head coach here at Empowered Man. And I've been teaching this for years because I wasn't taught this by my father. It's not his fault. But I realized that when my marriage ended, there was this deep fear within me that would happen again. I would lose my business, lose my success, and I felt like I wasn't good enough. Now, if you think about that frame, I'm not good enough. One of the biggest fears of successful men, one of the biggest fears of successful men is that they're not good enough. I coach a guy who makes $30 million a year. He thinks he's not good enough. He's fucking things up. He should be doing better. It's this irrational fear. But on the other side of not good enough is becoming better. If you're constantly chasing becoming the best version of yourself as a man in three key areas, your health, your wealth, and your relationships, because they're all connected, you will win. Because you're so busy chasing excellence, becoming the best version of yourself, investing in yourself so that you can be a better man for your family, friends, and the world. You're going to be so busy doing that, you don't have time to be negative. You don't have time to have problems because you're taking action on the shit that moves you forward. And that's exactly how Andrew Tate bought a Bugatti, has 30 plus cars and hundreds of millions of dollars because he chased that excellence. So many men are stuck in comfort. Don't be one of those guys. Chase excellence, become the best version of yourself. And by the way, that's really challenging to do. It's going to require a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of energy. Now, can you do it without the money? Yes, there are podcasts like this. There are millions of books. Probably not millions, maybe millions. There are thousands of books, thousands of YouTube videos. But the problem is a lot of men, they just consume, right? How many of us listen to a podcast like this and we go, that sounds good, and we don't do anything with it? We don't have the accountability or the support to implement it. We don't have a plan to now take the lessons that you learned from this podcast and apply it to our personal lives, which is why it's so important to have a coach, which is what we do. We coach men. If you want to be one of them, there'll be a link down below where you can apply to work with us. But whether you have a coach or not, you got to chase excellence. To be an exceptional man, you've got to do exceptional things. And it's actually not that difficult. It's just reps. It's time in the game. It's consistency. We teach this in our programs. We've taught it in our podcasts. It's showing up each and every day and taking massive fucking action to become 1% better. And what's interesting is when you become 1% better a day, people think that's 365% over a year, correct? It's actually 3,600% because percentages compound. It's like interest when you invest. You become 36 times better over a year if you become 1% better a day. That is insanity. What would your life look like, my friends, in your business if you were 36 times more successful? In your cash flow in your bank account, if you had 36 times more money? In your relationship, if you had 36 times more connection, communication, and intimacy? As a father, if you had 36 times more presence, more leadership, more role model qualities? And in your personal life, you had 36 times more positive thoughts, positive actions, positive feelings. Can you even begin to fathom that? But the pursuit of excellence is a difficult journey. It requires responsibility, it requires an open mind, and it requires to understand and accept that life isn't fair. And this journey is going to be the hardest journey you ever go on. But it's the most rewarding journey on the planet, especially when you have a son, Sam, you see it within him. How has this journey changed our clients' lives and your life, this pursuit of excellence that I know you're on? How does it change your life, and how does it make you feel when you chase that?
Becoming the best version of myself, even just saying it, it's like, oh, it's empowering. But for a lot of men, it's that initial emotion of, oh, becoming the best version. Yeah, great. One of the things that I love that we do with our men when we first start working with them is we start to paint that picture. We start to cast a bit of a vision, and they start to close their eyes and see it and visualize, what does that best version of myself look like? And then that's the driver. That's the initial motivator to get them to just start taking action, to start moving toward that. It's incredibly powerful. When we start to grasp the concept of the best version of ourselves, we start to implement standards that will be the, you know, when you go bowling and they put the barriers up, it's like the markers, it's your lane, it's finding your lane. The best version of me looks like this, talks like this, acts like this, responds like this. It gives you a laneway to start operating in. The concept of chasing excellence for me, in particular, over the last year, this started when I was looking at a dirty bowl on the coffee table. No one's coming to put that away for me now. You know, as I was newly single, no one's coming to put that away. Not that it was ever anyone else's job, but I looked at that and I like, there's a lesson here. If I chose to leave that there for a week, that will still be there. Probably with a few furry friends in there, but that will still be there. What does it look like for me? Not to say, oh, I should put that bowl in the dishwasher. I should, you know, wash those dishes in the sink, but to actually go and do it now and to operate in that laneway of excellence, bringing my best.
Yeah.
There was a period of time in my life that I will always value, and that is when I first discovered the power of chasing excellence. This was like 15 years ago. And I remember that, you know, so many moments in my life where I was like, how can I operate in excellence here? I can do that now. I can do that now. I cannot put that off, but I can do it now. I can hold the door open for that person behind me. I can do this particular job right and not cut corners. I can treat people with the love and respect that they're worthy of. And, you know, all those things, it empowers us and strengthens us to become this version of ourselves that's operating on this optimal level. And it just ripples out into every area, facet, and relationship that we have.
Absolutely it does. And it is every area. Being successful as a man is more than just one area. It's three. There's three key areas. We teach these. It's health, wealth, and relationships. You can be wealthy, a billionaire, but if you get cancer, it's fucked. You can have an amazing body and be healthy and live to 100, but if you can't pay your bills and you can't support your family, you're screwed. And you can have an amazing body, an amazing business, make a lot of money, but if your relationships suck, you're lonely, your wife cheats, you're not intimate, you're not connected, it's all fucked anyway. What's the point of that success? Real success is having that balance and becoming the best version of yourself in your health, in your wealth, and in your relationships. It's a weaponized body, a bulletproof mind, a bank account with freedom inside of it, and a relationship with your loved ones full of connection. That's real success. And if you're lacking any of those areas, start. Like, make it the relentless pursuit of excellence to be the best version of yourself. That's how you win as a man. It's fucking hard being a man. But those men, they get everything. It's exactly who Andrew Tate was. He got everything. He's also now in jail because they're going after him. But like, he had everything a man could possibly want. Yeah, maybe not the intimate relationship. Lots of beautiful women. To me, it's more important to have a wife, somebody that I can marry and be with, which I have. But it's such a powerful lesson for all the men out there. Is become the best version of yourself, man. If you're not that guy, go today. Decide, I'm fucking investing in myself. I'm doing this. And like you said, Sam, it applies to every area of your life. How you make your bed, how you fold your clothes, how you keep your room clean, how you keep your car clean, how you communicate with your staff compared to your team or compared to your kids, compared to your wife. You got to pursue excellence everywhere. And when you do that, man, it's the best, most rewarding feeling. There are 4 dangerous lessons we can learn from Andrew Tate as fathers and men. Lesson number 1, observe everything. Open up your mind. Open up your mind to what's around you. Do not be closed-minded. Lesson 2, life isn't fair. Life is fucking hard for a man. The sooner you accept that, the easier it becomes. Life isn't fair. It's never going to be fair. What are you going to do about it? Lesson 3, take radical responsibility for your life. No one is coming to save you. If you want more money, more success, better relationships, if you want to be the best version of yourself, you got to take ownership. It's not your fault. He says it's your fault. It's not your fault, but it is your responsibility to fix things, to make yourself the best man you can be. Lesson number 4, relentless pursuit of excellence. You get to make it your mission as a man to become the best version of yourself in your health, your wealth, and your relationships. That is hard. It's not easy, but it's the most rewarding thing you can do. Apply these lessons and your life will change forever. But my friend, it's hard to do this on your own. So if you're listening to this and you're one of the guys listening, you're taking notes, go and implement it. And if you struggle to implement it, go and find someone who can support you. Go and find a coach, pay them time, money, and energy, someone who can support you to change things. I spent 107 grand last year on mentors and coaches. Obviously, our business pays for that. We've got a business that grows. But I can tell you it was the most successful year of my life because of those investments. It's funny, like you find someone who has what you want, the business, the relationship, the health, and you can speed up time. It's literally a time machine. When you give that person money, and that money is nothing compared to the years of lessons you will learn. Because there's two ways to learn lessons, right? On your own or through someone else. And on your own, typically you learn the best through pain. You can circumvent that pain of the divorce, the mental breakdown, the business stress, the overweight body. You can circumvent that pain so quickly when you have a plan, when you have accountability, and when you have a mentor or a coach to support you. Right? This is one of the most powerful things you can possibly do. And Andrew Tate, ironically enough, was a mentor to a lot of young men. We mentor, 25 to 30 to 50 to 60-year-old men, bit of a higher bracket. So if you're listening to this and you got value, please drop a comment down below. Let us know wherever you're watching. What was the biggest takeaway from you from this episode? Make sure you give it a like and a thumbs up or 5 stars wherever you're listening. And if you do want to know more about our programs, the links will be down in the description down below. We'll be able to support you. So guys, I hope you got some value out of this episode, and make sure you let us know what was your favorite part. Next week, we have a very special episode, so stay tuned for that, where we're going to be sharing the 6 tenets of the Empowered Man Code. Hey brother, I hope you got a ton of value from that podcast. If you would like to work with us personally and get some of the best content we've launched for our clients who invested thousands of dollars, then go and complete our 7-day Empowered Man Challenge. This mission will completely transform your life. If it doesn't, you won't have to pay a cent. It's only $37, and it is game changing if you want to take back control. So if you want to find balance between business, family, and life, if you want the relationship, the health, the wealth that you deserve, then go to elitebusinessman.com/challenge. That's elitebusinessman.com/challenge and take up this challenge to take back control of your life.